Hey, what's up? It's a Figure Hunter, and up for final review today is the Reebox Nano X. So we are going to take this through the paces and just sort of share about my experience and what the shoe design brought as far as a benefit and a negative. And I'm also going to compare it to the Nike Metcon 7. And one way I thought I would do the comparison when just doing a full review for the Nano X as well as the Metcon 7 is compare them to the open workouts so that we can think about how the different shoe benefits would have helped in different subsets of the open workout. So if you like this review, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for more. A lot of reviews coming out multiple days in a row over the next few days. So let's dive in. So the the Reebok Nano X is a $130 shoe, but it's been on sale. I got mine for $55. I've heard of other subscribers getting it for $40, which is a crazy deal. They just released the X2, so a secondary version of this. So we're gonna look at this sort of side by side with the Metcon 7 and talk about it more generally, and then we're gonna break down each one of the workouts. All right, so here you have it, the Nano X. We'll talk about some of the features. Obviously, they have some texture here. It says a plastic is very smooth, so it doesn't have much grip to it, but it does have at least some texture if you're looking at the areas that would affect a rope climb. And then they have this extra layer of rubber across the bottom for what they call the Rope Pro. You know, the mesh on the heel, it looks like it has some protection on the inner lining here, but super thin throughout here. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. One of the things that I really do like about it, if you're looking at the overall design features, is the inner glove. So if you pull this out and you look inside, you have an exterior and then an interior, which sort of hugs your foot a little bit more snugly. Across the back, you have good overall sort of heel width, but it is a little bit more narrow when comparing to like lifters that come out a little bit more side to give you a base. So you're not going to get any extra stability out of this. And then across the heel, if you're looking at headstand push-ups, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, you see that it does have a raised piece of plastic, and we're going to look at actually how it would function on a wall if you come, you know, what point it hits this little rubber lip. You know, good overall heel hold, but if you were to compare it from the benefit side to the Nano X's, you're going to find a few differences. So obviously the Nano X's have a full rope grip coverage. This is really rubberized. It comes all the way across the middle and then all the way up, and it comes all the way up the top of the shoe. So this is not a smooth plastic. This is a rubberized texture, and it has more of a curvature here than you're going to get on the Nano X's. You have more toe protection. You have this little bump out here, but also more toe protection through the front. And again, we're going to talk about that and why I'm mentioning that. One of the things that's unique, you have the laces lock. So this is for protecting against double unders. It just sort of squeezes the laces down so you don't have to worry about it coming. And then one of the features that is really nice is that they took sort of a quasi-Ramaleo design to the heel where you have this jut out the side. This is sort of a typical smooth, but it comes out further. And in the initial review of these two shoes, I measured it, and this is actually definitely further out. And then one of the other unique features, and we'll look at how this shows up in actual performance in a little bit, is this bump for headstand push-ups where you slide along the wall. This is just a hard, smooth plastic. The last thing we'll mention is that this layer in here is called the Hyperlift. So this is an extra layer of cushion which provides a heel lift, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, and some felt differences between using the two shoes. So an extra left set of cushion and a little bit more heel raise built into the design for, you know, fast cycling barbell lifts where you're actually having to come to full depth. So that's the comparison of the two shoes. That's the basics on what you're going to see between these shoes as far as like a competitive advantage when looking at the Metcon 7 versus the Nano X. So there you have this as a basic summary. So let's talk about each of the CrossFit Open workouts. Obviously 22.1 was an AMRAP with 3 wall walks, 12 single arm dumbbell snatches, and 15 box jumps. So how did the Nano X perform versus some of the features and benefits on it, and how would it have compared to the Nike Metcon 7? So Obviously, all the basics. I mean, there's not a lot of shoe challenge when it comes to this work. Obviously, just basic flex, basic cushion for the jumps on the box jump overs. But there's a couple of things to note on the Nano X that I didn't like as much. And I'm going to just say wall walks, and we're going to actually talk about the headstand push-ups. So you can see some of the heel differences, as I will note now, between the two if you were doing headstand push-ups as a comparison. Okay, so when doing a headstand push-up, obviously you want to get your heels high. When you get your heels high, you're feeling a little bit of rub resistance, but it's mostly just the plastic. If you move your heel to this position, you're getting more friction because it addresses the rubber. So the rubber sort of disappears right when you come below parallel. So if you're in parallel, you're getting a cat. Now versus the Metcon 7, the first thing I'll note is it just has a thud when it hits. And it's just got a plastic slide. And you can come all the way up before you hit rubber to there. So where it was flat with the Nano X's and it's all the way to there. If you have this terrible heel position, you might catch rubber. But if you even just have it like this, you're sliding on plastic. Okay, so the second thing to note is the toe coverage. This is something I'm going to summarize in the final summary of this, but the toe coverage is very, very light and has been very felt. So when you look at 22.1, if you happened to drop a dumbbell on your foot, it is going to kill you. It's going to hurt so much because the thin coverage I have noticed on lunges, on anything where my toe might be pressing against the front, to be actually like felt discomfort because it's so light. Something about the way they designed it, something about the way my toe shape presses against the front, but I'm actually feeling like you get almost a stubbed toe if you press too much towards the front and you're doing some lunges across the floor or lunge-based back squats. So that's 22.1. What about 22.2? Obviously, 1 rep up to 10, back down to 1 with deadlifts and burpees. Nothing really to say here, nothing really to comment here, so we're just gonna leave it at that. And lastly, 22.3. So we have pull-ups, double unders, and thrusters, chest to bars, double unders, and thrusters, bar muscle ups, double unders, and thrusters. So how did this compare when you're looking at a pull-up motion? Doesn't matter. How does it compare for double unders? Well, obviously the Metcon 7 has the lace lock. So this is going to be the winner when it comes to a double under in a workout because the laces just don't come untied. Obviously you can double tie these or tie them super tight, and otherwise they're very similar, but the laces lock makes a big difference, and just at least as peace of mind when you're especially in a competitive workout that you don't have to think about, worry about, or wonder about your laces coming untied, and definitely don't have to deal with the laces actually coming untied and the major level of distraction there. And then so the last movement is thrusters. This is another one of my big issues. The heel depth on the Nano X is a felt difference lower than on the Metcon 7. The Metcon 7 actually includes a slight little heel lift, and I talked about it in the full review of the Metcon 7. I'll post it down below, but they actually gave it a little bit of a rise, which I have felt when I went to put on this. So we're talking about thrusters, you're coming into full depth. I have felt the lower heel in the Nano X's. I noticed it first when I was doing a set of 10 heavy back squats, that I felt like it was pushing me too far back that I had not felt. And so I tried them one against the other, and it was a felt difference. So I took some measuring devices and just did a basic measurement difference. So from floor underneath to the base of the heel, it's like 9.5 millimeters. And from the Nike Metcon 7s from floor to the base of the heel, it's 11.9. So that's only a 2.4 difference, but it's a 25% difference if you're looking at it just one versus the other. Obviously, if you were to measure the height from the base of the the heel of your front of your toes, or the base where your toes come in contact with the pressure of the floor, if there's more of a tilt here or less of a tilt here and more of a tilt here, you're going to get an even more pronounced feeling. But when it comes to thrusters, I tested the workout using these and then did the workout using the Metcon 7s because it was such a felt difference in giving a heel support so that you can come to full depth and it's not as much pressure on mobility. So all that being said, what do I think of the Nano X's? I think they are a good basic shoe. Obviously, the design, I do like the feel of the inner sleeve, like we talked about in the hands-on or side-by-side comparison. I think it's got good all-around things, but the rope climb issue is definitely going to be a felt difference if you're using the rope climb tech on the Metcon 7s versus the Nano X. The toe box issue and the heel height issue is a felt difference for me. I don't think it's in my head because I was like, this doesn't feel as comfortable. So the handstand push-ups, that's not as big of a deal. I don't think you would notice it as much. And if you just properly lift your heels high and bring your toes low, you're going to slide across plastic. So not as much of an issue there. But the main issues and differences in this, now obviously if you're looking at a $55 shoe versus a $130 shoe, then the Metcon 7 is a conscious choice. But think about it logically. How often, we're talking to CrossFitters, so how often do you buy shoes? Maybe it's on a frequent basis, but in simple terms, if you're buying a shoe for a 1-hour workout a day, it's gonna last you 2 years. You probably be more worthwhile to spend $130, get a fully comprehensive all-around shoe that addresses every possible need that could come from a shoe design when it comes to doing CrossFit workouts versus just the savings you'll get, especially because of what I felt like was a difference in the heel height, and to me was a deal breaker in the toe, the thinness of the fabric of the toes. I basically had to like lower the depth of my lunges so that I didn't press my toe to the floor. I don't know if I have sensitive toes. I have no idea. But either way, it was a felt discomfort. And if you drop something on this, it is going straight into your toe, which is a common issue or a common potential and not at all a felt thing when it comes to the Metcon 7. So the heel coverage, lunges, everything works great with these. So that's the full summary. Those are the primary issues. It's still a hot deal, but again, if you're looking for a long-term functional, fully all-around shoe, it's worth it to pay the extra money. This is the review for the CrossFit Nano, the Reebok Nano X. It's the Fit Gear Hunter. Thanks so much for watching.